So, I was walking around my house, just minding my own business, not less than about, 25 minutes ago. And I have this stand. The stand is literally right in front. I'll show you real quick. See this stand right here? This stand right in with the lamp on top of it and the various tchotchkes on top of that, right next to the couch. It's right in the pathway of me walking from the hallway. As I know you can really tell, but the small hallway between my television room, or my mom likes to refer to it as my man cave, and heading in the living room. Well, I was walking, and I moved to the right when I should have moved to the left, and I banged my pinky toe as hard as humanly possible into the side of this stand. So, I don't think it's broken, and I'm not going to look into it unless it gets unbearably bad and painful. But I think I stoved it pretty good, and it kind of hurts. It's red. It's not bent or anything like that, so that's a good thing. So I definitely know that it's not broken. But then again, my mom's foot, I didn't think it was broken, and apparently it was, so just strange how things work. It really is. Now, I'm in my kitchen, and I've had lunch, and I didn't get up till after 11 today, and that's totally different for me because normally I'm up and at 'em about 7 o'clock watching the Disney Channel like I do. Excuse me, like I do. But this morning, I was on a 5-hour Skype call with Ashley, talking about movies, and we had a little bit of wrestling talk as well. And I've come to the conclusion that this is definitely not going to be the last time these conversations are had, because they were really fun and really enjoyable, and it's nice to be able to talk to someone new that actually shares some of my similar opinions when it comes to movies. So, speaking of movies, yay, segues. It's Monday, and I'm going to work in about 2 hours. I should be leaving for work. Obviously, I got to go to American Eagle and Shopkick, and then I got to get changed because I'm wearing my touring plan shirt right now. Thank you, Lynn and Laurel. I mean, I purchased the shirt, but thank you for putting it out there so I could purchase it. And I've got my other touring plan shirt that I got at Reunion last year. Thank you again, Lynn and Laurel, and also thank you, Scarlett, for that. And I wear it proudly. But when it comes down to it, it's Monday. Didn't really have anything happen last night normally, but you know what was last night? Was the BAFTAs. So, like my segue, I'm going to talk about my reactions to what happened at the BAFTAs last night. And once again, I'm staring at my ginormous computer monitor / television, and I have got my notepad here, my Win Place show, the horse racing steeds that I talked about in my previous 40-minute video on the BAFTAs. So we're going to start with adapted screenplay, which just shocks everyone, and well, everyone except for AJ, because AJ has been calling this. AJ predicts David O. Russell to win director, screenplay, and then move on to picture. But I can't really jump on that bandwagon, even though I really love Silver Linings Playbook, because I've been predicting Argo pretty much since day one, and I'm going to stick with that, and there's good reason to stick with that. But like AJ said, it does make sense that you would not give a movie director without picture. Wait a minute. Like I talked to Ashley about early this morning, when it comes down to it, there's another movie that won picture without winning director, and it was another sure thing that I had called all along. So, maybe, just maybe, history's going to repeat itself. But I'll get to that later. So, surprisingly, Silver Linings Playbook took adapted screenplay, and like I said, it was to the shock of everyone, except for AJ, and it just blew my mind, because they didn't go for Argo, they didn't go for Lincoln, they didn't even go for Life of Pi. They went for Silver Linings Playbook, and that's awesome, and a good win for David O. Russell, and a deserved win Nonetheless, I still want to say that they completely did not go for what everyone thought they would go for. And that's what makes this season, this Oscar season, this award season in general, has been so unpredictable. And save a couple categories, which I'll get to in a little bit, anybody could possibly win. And that's good. It's not nice to be completely predictable. It's not entertaining for everything to be winning all the time. Now, that makes me a hypocrite, obviously, because I love the fact that Argo's winning everything all the time. But it's kind of like, and I love The Artist, as anyone that knows me knows, and I watched it like 5 times, most of them theatrically. And when it comes down to it, when you watch The Artist and you see how much it actually won, you would think to yourself, oh, I'm getting so tired of The Artist winning. I love the movie, but my God, could something else win just to shake things up a little bit? And that happened, but I'll get to that later on. Makeup and hair surprisingly went to Les Mis. They didn't go for The Hobbit, which was kind of shocking, but it's makeup and hair, not just makeup. Makeup is The Hobbit all day long, or Hitchcock all day long. But then again, most people didn't take to Hitchcock. And that hair basically puts it over the top, and it's the combination of both. And Les Mis had both, so it won. I guess that's the only way I can think about it. Now, it wasn't televised, but Brave took home Best Animated Film, and now it's back in the running. So pretty much we're looking at an all-Disney finale at the Oscars, because as much as I love Paranorman, it's not winning. And as much as I love The Pirates, and surprised that it did not get into the BAFTA, it's not winning. So, 3 Disney properties could possibly win Best Animated Film at the Oscars, and I have no problem with that. I wasn't the biggest fan of Frankenweenie. I need to watch it again. I totally do, but I have a lot of lazy time when I don't feel like doing anything. So, I don't watch movies like I should, and I didn't watch Royal Affair, and I didn't watch Rust and Bone, and Athens has afforded us an opportunity to watch all the shorts, both animated and short film, like a marathon like they do in bigger cities. So I might have to talk to AJ and see if he's feeling up to it so we can go and do that. One price for 5 movies, so it'd be worth it. It really would, especially so we could be Oscar completists this year. And if that's the only thing holding me back, I'll go back and watch the stuff I need to watch. Can't see The Gatekeepers, don't have a way to see that. Still need to watch 5 Broken Cameras. But we'll get to that later, and I'll talk about my Oscar picks later too. The video is coming. Sometime next week, I will make my final Oscar picks. I do want to wait till the WGA is over, so that's kind of cheating, but I really don't care. So, I think I'm going to make my Oscar picks, I would say Monday, but I can't do it Monday, because Monday I'm going to be talking about the Elimination Chamber, because I'm going to watch it Sunday night, because there's nothing to do. There's no award shows. I mean, WGA, but it's not televised. And me sitting here waiting on my computer till 2 o'clock in the morning, I can do it anyway. So, I'm probably going to watch the Elimination Chamber. Tuesday, I'm going to review Raw. Wednesday, Thursday, don't have anything planned. So, one of those days, Wednesday or Thursday next week, I will be doing my 100% official Academy Award predictions. And that's going to be fun. So, I'm completely off course there. Brave took the award. And now it is against Wreck-It Ralph to determine who is going to win the Oscar. And with the 5 Annie Awards that Wreck-It Ralph has won, and the fact it got the Critics' Choice, when it comes down to it, Wreck-It Ralph's winning. And I have no problem with that, because Wreck-It Ralph was amazing. And it was really interesting, because, like Ashley told me, Wreck-It Ralph didn't come out in the UK until last Friday. A couple days ago, Friday, I mean to say. And it was really interesting because at the BAFTAs, John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman presented an award, which is really interesting due to the fact that they're from Wreck-It Ralph, and Wreck-It Ralph wasn't really introduced in the UK until just this past weekend, so that was interesting. Cinematography went to Life of Pi, just like I thought it was going to, but actually ASC went to Roger Deakins the next night. The basically the cinematography awards went to Roger Deakins for Skyfall, and Now it's basically Skyfall versus Pi for the Oscar, and either one could possibly win. However, I've been talking about Pi since day one, how visually stunning it really is. And unlike Ashley, I don't mind the fact the tiger's name is Richard Parker. So when it comes down to it, it also utilized 3D very, very well, and I'll give props to Ang Lee for doing that. The conversion worked really well. Unlike some movies which just are too gimmicky, or they just don't work. I mean, they don't submerge you in the experience like they probably should. Original screenplay, I called it, and I'm telling you right now, it's a good possibility it's going to take the Oscar too. Quentin Tarantino won for Django Unchained, deservingly so. And I'll tell you, it wasn't a bad night for Django, given the fact what it wins later, but I'll talk to them about that later. Great win for Tarantino, deserved win for Tarantino. Haneke didn't win, and that was awesome. And Mark Bowl didn't win, and that was also awesome. Because Bowl obviously won for The Hurt Locker when it was facing Bastards at the Oscars. I think it was 2009. My years are terrible, especially with how Oscars is 2009, 2010. So, 2009 season, Oscars were Mark Bowl versus Quentin Tarantino, and Bowl won. This time around, it may have been the BAFTAs, not the Oscars, but Mark Bowl lost to Tarantino, and that was really cool. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And Django was the deserving movie that should have won, and it did. Costume design, Anna Karenina still wins. I was kind of hoping that something else would. I did predict Anna Karenina because I'm not stupid. So, as much as I hate the movie, it was down to the point that costumes and art direction are the only thing that I really would give it. I like Joe Wright, I loved Atonement, and he's a very diverse director. He's had a lot of different styles of film in all of his movies. And when it comes down to it, Anna Karenina had a good concept, the fact that everything was done on a stage and not on set. So, basically, that concept worked for me, but the movie itself did not. I didn't enjoy the performances, I didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of period pieces unless there's a point to them. Outstanding British film, I thought would go to Les Mis, and due to AJ's way of thinking at the fact that Les Mis was the only movie out of the 5 that actually got in picture, thought it was going to win, and it didn't. Skyfall won, so it started me thinking early on, is Bardem going to win? Is Judi Dench going to win? Is it going to win for Deakins? And most of those were proven wrong, so, actually all of them were proven wrong. So, no. But they did give it Outstanding British Film, and I should not have picked against a James Bond movie due to the fact that it's the anniversary, and it's been like many, many, many moons since a Bond film has won. So it made total sense for it to win if I really would have done my homework and thought about it from that perspective. Documentary went to Searching for Sugar Man, and I love that movie. It just continues to get better. Now, the fact that The Imposter was nominated also for debut for a British director, and I'll get to that in a minute as well because it's our next category, made me think that they would go for The Imposter. And The Imposter is amazing, and I love it very much. However, Searching for Sugar Man has been the documentary juggernaut this season, and unless it loses at the very last minute at the Oscars, which I don't think it will, it's going to get a very deserving Oscar. And I love the fact that I'm hearing the fact that Rodriguez is finally getting royalties for his performances and his albums, and everything they talked about in the movie is basically finally coming back to him. But I guarantee you, if you talk to Rodriguez today, he's still going to be just as humble as he was back when he had no accolades and no one really knew who he was outside of a couple places in the world. So, big win for Searching for Sugar Man. Love it. Totally happy about that. Debut by a British director went to The Imposter, and they really liked the film, and I'm glad they did because it was really, really good. It's a totally different way to do a documentary, and they mentioned it. It was basically done kind of like a regular film and not a documentary, even though it was technically a documentary. And I very much enjoyed The Imposter for everything it was, and I didn't really know anything about McCullen, but I knew it had another nomination, which was for documentary, which it also lost. And if I would have known it was like another movie that was out last year, Diana, I remember her last name, I believe it starts with a V. I'll look for it actually because I am a completist, and you know, I don't really, I really like not knowing things. It's not fun. Diana V. It's like Oh yeah, The Artist is Present. Yeah, not Diana Vreeland, The Eyes of Travel. I'm thinking about The Artist is Present, and very, very messed up movie. But also kind of about that same type of story with the documentary. And it didn't win, and McCullen didn't win, and we don't have to worry about it now because The Imposter took it. James Bowman upset for the Muppets. Just happy to be nominated, actually, in one of those cases. Was happy to see the Muppets involved. Nice night for Will, really, because the Muppets and Skyfall were both nominated, and Skyfall actually won, so good night for Will if he was watching the BAFTAs. I'm sure he wasn't. Rising Star went to Juno Temple, and I have zero problems with that. I love Killer Joe. I think Killer Joe is absolutely amazing, and if you have it on Netflix, or if you watch it on the internet, you watch it on DVD, Blu-ray, however you get to see it, watch it. It's amazing. It's one of Matthew McConaughey's great performances of the year. McConaughey had a really, really, really good year. And he did The Paperboy, he did Magic Mike, and he did Killer Joe. And they were all really excellent movies. And Juno Temple, I mean, she's come a long way. She really has. I mean, Notes on a Scandal and Atonement, like I mentioned earlier. She was in St. Trans, was absolutely god-awful. And the sequel, of course, Killer Joe. And she had a role in The Dark Knight Rises as well. She was Anne Hathaway's friend, Jen, who she talked to in the apartment. A couple scenes in that movie. So, she's also going to be in Maleficent, and she's going to be in the Sin City sequel. So, I mean, she's got a bright career ahead of her, and she's gorgeous, and she's awesome, and she's wise beyond her years. So I really think that Juno Temple deserved to win the award. I called her my dark horse because I thought they'd go with Shiraz Sharma for Life of Pi, given the fact that Life of Pi was universally liked. However, like Ashley pointed out to me, and it makes sense now I think about it, it was his first film. First film. You give the Rising Star to a first film, it kind of doesn't make any sense, I really think. So he didn't really piggyback off the movie. And I'm very glad Olsen didn't win, because Elizabeth Olsen sucks, and I don't want to see her in Godzilla. I don't want to see her ever again. I didn't mind Liberal Arts. It was decent. Zac Efron's, like, 2-second role in Liberal Arts pretty much made me enjoy it. But that was about it on that. I'm going to talk about Liberal Arts real quick. Josh Radnor's also, he's the main star in the movie. It's funny because you look at IMDb here, and if you look at it, you see that Zac Efron's actually credited. And Zac Efron has 5 minutes, if anything, in one of the funnier scenes in the movie. So, very independent, very well done, but I hate Olsen. Anyway, we're going to our next category here. Production design with Les Mis. Kind of surprised it didn't go to Lincoln or Skyfall or even Life of Pi. Les Mis took it pretty much out of nowhere. Editing went to Argo, and if we go the direction we're going to go, Argo can win editing, possibly win screenplay, and picture. And that's all. That's all it needs to win. I like to say Ford to win the war, but I don't think Arkin's taken anything. So, and Affleck's got snubbed, as everyone in the world knows. So, there's your Ford to win the war. Argo for the Oscars, but I'll talk about that later. Short animation went to Making of Longbird, which was a Scottish short film. Literally about a guy talking to a bird. I believe that's correct. I think it was a marathon conversation with Ashley last night, or this morning. So, I think that's what it is, Making of Longbird. Longbird was a movie that was, let me go look this up so I don't screw up the deets here. Longbird is a film that, here we are, Making of Longbird. Yay! It was basically a guy talking to, a bird, an animated bird. It was based off the film, I believe the film Longbird. I'm not positive exactly what it was actually called, but Ashley told me about it, and I totally forgot. Sorry. But, so there's a long conversation there. And, I just went with I'm Fine Thanks to win because I like the way it sounds. I didn't know anything about the shorts, so. Short film went to Swimmer, which is awesome because I like Lynn Ramsey. She did the very underrated We Need to Talk About Kevin, which was awesome. A movie that a lot of people skipped out on. Really good film. And if you guys watch Perks of Being a Wallflower, and you enjoyed the characters in the movie, Ezra Miller is actually in the movie. He's in Kevin. That's where he got his start. And Ezra Miller plays, basically he's like the best friend to Emma Watson in Perks. And he's amazing. Ezra Miller's an amazing actor, an amazing talent, and he's going to be huge one day. And I think his time is coming sooner rather than later. But Lynn Ramsey saw something in him and put him in Kevin. Tilda Swinton's amazing in Kevin. I mean, the movie is awesome, so check it out if you get a chance. Swimmer won, so that's cool. Film not in the English language, another win for Amore. Just get rid of it. I want the season to end because I never want to hear the words Amore again. There is a site on the internet that makes internet memes of animals cast in 2013 Best Picture nominees, and it's perfect, and it fits better than anything. It's literally just a pig, and it says a boar. And it's very true, because Amore is legit a bore. Just terrible, terrible movie, and I really hate the fact that everyone's, like, flocking towards it like it's the second coming. Like it's the greatest thing since Slumdog, so it's a ridiculous shame that The Untouchables, or I guess if you want to use the UK title, Untouchable, actually didn't win, because it was incredible, and it was well done. It was absolutely laugh out loud hilarious. And if you get a chance to check it out, it's going to be really hard to find. But if you get a chance to check it out, do so. I mean, watch it. Do yourself a favor. Watch The Untouchables. Really funny. You'll get past the fact of the subtitles real quick, and you'll enjoy yourself, because it's very enjoyable. Sound went to Les Mis, and you know, it's hard for me to ever predict sound, because we have, there's sound categories in the Oscars. I never can predict them. So I went with Life of Pi, because I like the sound of Pi, and Django and Skyfall, and Les Mis wins. So big night for Les Mis, actually. Skyfall did not win sound, so sorry about that. Visual effects did go to Life of Pi, like I've been predicting all along. Visual effects and cinematography would go to Life of Pi, and it did. Anne Hathaway, if she was going to lose, it was going to be last night at the BAFTAs, and she didn't. She has no competition. None. None at all. It's really nice that Helen Hunt and Sally Field were nominated, because that's as far as they're going. The nomination, it was good. It was great to be nominated, but it's going to be also great to job to Anne Hathaway, because she can't be beat. If she would have been beaten last night by Judi Dench, I wouldn't have been surprised. But at the Oscars, she's got no competition. She's not losing. It's not happening. Supporting actor, I called it, and I'm telling you guys, I think it's actually going to happen. Christoph Waltz won for Django Unchained, just like he won for Inglourious Basterds. And I think Waltz is taking the Oscar, and he deserves it. Now, I know everybody is on the Jones bandwagon, and you know, I can understand that to a point, but Jones took the SAG, which Waltz wasn't nominated for, so that kind of cancels that out. And Waltz took the BAFTA and the Globe, so we got a race on our hands. I mean, we got De Niro and Arkin on the outside looking in, and it's basically down to the wire now. It's Waltz versus Jones to determine who's going to win the Oscar. And I think Waltz is going to take home a second one, and I'll talk about that later. Javier Bardem could have won easily, and he didn't. So, except for Tech Awards, Skyfall's done at the Oscars, and I don't have a problem with that because I didn't like the movie. But I need to watch it again. I understand, totally. Don't keep telling me I need to watch it again. I'm more than aware I need to watch it again. Best Actress went to it went to Emmanuelle Riva, and you know, it's a ridiculous shame. It's one of those predictions I hated to be right on, because I didn't want Amore to win anything. I wanted Haneke to lose, and he did, thank God. And I wanted Riva to lose, which sadly she didn't. And I really wanted it to lose to The Untouchables for film not in the English language, and also didn't. But Riva is now a legitimate contender to Jennifer Lawrence and Jessica Chastain for Best Actress at the Oscars. And it's a 3-woman race right now, and no one really has the advantage at this point. Everybody's won about the same amount. So when the envelope is revealed at the Oscars, it's going to be really interesting to see who actually wins. My heart wants to go with Jennifer Lawrence for a lot of reasons, but I don't know. And I'll tell you right now, Zero Dark 30 has taken such a dive since it was the front runner at one point. But then again, there were so many movies that were the front runner at one point. I mean, Les Mis was the front runner at one point. And then we got to Argo, and then forget about everything else. And that works for me, because obviously I love Argo. But when it comes down to it, it's anyone's win, actually. I mean, Reva could win, which I don't want to happen. Chastain could possibly win, and Jennifer Lawrence could possibly win. So it's up in the air for the Oscars, and I'm going to really think long and hard before I decide exactly who I think is going to take home the Academy Award. Best Actor, Daniel Day-Lewis. Like you're really surprised. If Hugh Jackman, or as we want to quote Stephen Fry from the opening, Hugh Jackman, is going to be any competition at all for Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, he wouldn't win because Daniel Day-Lewis has it in the bag all day and night. But any competition whatsoever, he would have had to win the BAFTA for Best Actor, and he did not. So Daniel Day-Lewis, as well, has no competition going into the Oscars. And that's a shame, not because Daniel Day-Lewis has no competition, it's a shame because it's not more interesting, and there's not a challenger that was brought into the limelight because of a win at the BAFTAs, or a win at the SAGs, or a win at the Golden Globes, or a win at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which I just called twice. The WGA, the PGA, any of the award shows. Yeah, I know I messed that up. I totally understand. AJ, you know you'll call me on it. But I don't edit it, so it's going to be in there. So I messed up. Sorry. But basically, when it comes down to it, Daniel Day-Lewis has no competition. And it's a shame that he didn't have at least a Jackman as his competition. And it would have been if he would have taken the BAFTA, but it was not to be. So that's pretty much the end of any competition for Daniel Day-Lewis. He's guaranteed to win an Oscar. Best Director, I told you all along, guys. Once he got snubbed for the Oscar, Affleck was going to win everything he's nominated for. And one by one, he did. Won everything he's nominated for. It is a damn shame that he is not nominated for the Oscar, because at this point, with the momentum he's got, he'd be unstoppable. There'd be no one that could beat him. And I've heard all the conspiracy theories about Ben Zeitlin getting in because people were not thinking and they voted for Ben, even though Ben Zeitlin's name has an H on the end of it. And if you do a preferential ballot, A is very far from Z. So there's so many thoughts and ideals that would think that they voted for Zeitlin instead of Affleck because they thought they were voting for Affleck because they saw Ben. But I can't put anything on those. I don't think that's correct. I think that, in my opinion, the reason why Bigelow, Tarantino, and Affleck did not get into the Oscars is due to the fact that they voted for Haneke and Zeitlin because they thought, oh, everybody's going to vote for Affleck, everybody's going to vote for Bigelow. I'm going to throw this vote towards Michael Haneke, and maybe he won't get in, but maybe he'll get a couple of votes, and maybe he might be able to take the 5th spot. It's possible. You never know. I mean, I liked him more. All my friends liked him more, so why not? Everybody else will vote for Affleck. He's in. He doesn't have to worry. Catherine Bigelow's going to get in. She doesn't have to worry. And they had to worry because they missed the cut. I'm glad Hooper didn't get in, obviously, but that's a personal thing against Hooper. But still, when it comes down to it, Haneke and Zeitlin got in instead of Tarantino, Affleck. Wes Anderson I could even throw in there. And Catherine Bigelow. So Affleck won everything. It's over. Sadly, Ben Affleck will not get to win another award in this Oscar season. But he had a great Oscar season. And I'm pretty sure his next film, which I hear is supposed to be a mix between Argo and The Town. And I believe it's a former British film, or a French film, that Affleck's remaking that was based off an American novel. If it's the same movie I'm thinking about, I think that's correct. And it's time to give Affleck his due. I mean, we've come a long way since Bennifer, and we've come a long way since Gigli, and Affleck being the most hated man in the world. And Kevin Smith was right all along, guys. Affleck can do no wrong. He really could play the shark in Jaws. And I told you guys Affleck was going to be a force, and he was. Just because he didn't run for the Oscar doesn't mean his time is up. And like he said last night during his acceptance speech, when it comes down to it, he's on his 2nd act. And like George Clooney said, God knows what he's going to do for his 3rd act. Affleck's won for writing, he won for Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon. And hopefully he's got a potential Best Picture win, which will get him a producer credit. He'll eventually win director somewhere down the road, and I think then you nominate him for acting, and Affleck could win all 4 major possible types of awards at the Oscars. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. If, like, in the next 5 to 8 years, I think Ben Affleck is going to have won everything, one way or another. So, big win for Argo, and I was very happy that Argo won Best Film, which it did. So, Affleck winning director and film worked really, really well. Great acceptance speech. Affleck's just happy to be accepted by everyone, finally. And I'm happy to finally see him being accepted by everyone, because I knew back with watching him in the Kevin Smith movies, watching him in Chasing Amy especially, that Affleck was something special. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to realize that Affleck was going to do big things. And no matter how much you hated Affleck, you could not deny that you kept his mouth on your kept his name on your mind. And his name is in your mouth at all times, because you were always thinking about him. Regardless if you hated him or not, you were thinking about Affleck, and you knew he was going to be destined for greatness. Well, I did. And a lot of people seem to as well. And now it's finally time to see Affleck getting his due. And very deserving. So, that was the BAFTAs, and that was a fun night. Actually, Fish and Chips turned out really well. AJ got out of his sickness for a night to join me, and we had a really fun time. I very much enjoyed Skyping with Ashley after the fact. That was fun. And we look forward to this week. Tonight, obviously, Raw, and the big news that everyone is reporting right now, especially Dave Meltzer, and if Dave Meltzer says it, it's gospel, as anyone knows, that The Undertaker is supposed to return on Raw tonight. Now, I'm not exactly sure why, because 2 things. One, he has no program right now because Punk's deal is with Rock, and I don't see him costing Punk the title Sunday Elimination Chamber. Now, he might spook Punk out, or maybe the lights might go out, and that may cost him the loss, and then Punk's like, I'm going to take you out at Mania, and then we've got our match. Or, a lot of people are talking about a tag match with Taker and Triple H against Punk and Lesnar, and that would work fine for me because Taker would only have to do hot tags and do a couple spots, and he would warm the apron most of the time and still get the pin. So his streak would still be intact, and he wouldn't have to work as hard. And I think that would be good as well, if it means him not missing Mania, because right now that's another possibility too, even though Will won't believe it. And I totally understand, but I don't really believe Taker's going to miss Mania either, because he's kind of an institution at the event. So that's going to be Raw, and Impact this week looks amazing. Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels and Magnus, and so many great matches that are supposed to be on the show. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to TNA, and I really hope that they never let Wes Briscoe talk again. So we've got a plus and minus coming up this coming Saturday on bringing back Pleasure Island and revitalizing Downtown Disney. And I've got AJ's Weekend Movie Reviews on the 4 films that are coming out on Friday, and we'll talk about that on Sunday. We got a WW Today Live podcast on the horizon, which I hope is on Oscar Sunday so I can actually participate. Reunion 2013 dates have not been announced yet, but hopefully sooner rather than later they will be. My tax return's not in the bank yet, but soon as it is, I can pay off my credit card and then start paying on September and December. So, that's pretty much the recap of what happened, your recap of the BAFTAs. And like I said, tomorrow I'll talk about what I thought about Monday Night Raw tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and get off here. And I'm going to go to work in about an hour and a half. And until tomorrow, that's all I got to say about that.